instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. All right, well, welcome into the Flagstick Podcast with myself, Jeff Botter, and this guy, Scott McLeod. And the Flagstick Podcast is brought to you again this week by our good friends at Srixon Golf Balls. If you're looking for a premium urethane option in the Z-Star series, a quality budget option in soft feel, or somewhere in between with the Q-Star Tour, Srixon is bound to present an option that will work for your game. For more information, visit Srixon.ca. And of course, we want you to follow us across all our social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. And please subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. We really do encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, which many of you have. Like us and click the notification bell. Make sure that you never miss anything that we post up there, which we do regularly. Some giveaways and stuff at some point or another. We're winding down the golf season, but there's a whole lot of stuff happening right now.
Winding down.
I mean, I don't know. We have to kind of say it's winding down a bit. It is August, not June, so it is kind of winding down. It's
school summer is winding down.
Yes, that's true. There's still a lot of good golf left to be played. So let me catch myself and correct myself and not upset people by saying the golf season is imminently ending. It's not.
Do not want to chase it away.
No. Let's hang on to it as long as we can. But we do have a lot of stuff going on right now. We're still at the we're still in tournament season a little bit here. There's a lot of big tournaments still happening. A lot of tournaments just finishing. And we're going to get you caught up on a lot of that stuff today or on this podcast. And then we have an interview and that's going to be on the front nine, of course, because that's where we do stuff like that. And then in the back nine, on the heels of the finale, so to speak, of the Play Junior Golf Tour, which is the Flagstick.com Cup, we're going to we did a little interview with Chris Veltkamp, the founder, operator of the Play Junior Golf Tour, and Scott had a chance to sit down with Chris following the latest event at Cataraqui Golf and Country Club to talk about the season-long race to the Flagstick.com Cup, and potentially, what's happening in the future with Play Junior Golf Tour. So we can't wait to get to that.
Yeah, good stuff.
I've already listened to it. Sorry.
Did you? Yeah. So that's good. Me too.
Yeah. I kind of had to. But let's get to the front nine, presented by Metcalf Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. There is still a ton of golf to be played this year, as we've already alluded to. So be sure to get some of those 10, 20, and 30 game passes and continue to save compared to regular green fees. Visit metcalfgolf.com to book tee times and to shop now. All right.
Yeah. Another crazy week.
Yeah, it's a lot of the provincial championships have been happening. The national championships have been happening. Season-long tours are coming to a close as the kids get back to school with the junior golf. So a lot of those things are wrapping up.
Professional major for the women, and
which happens to be on the other screen beside me
right now.
Scott's here.
Yeah,
and everything else is over here. So because it is at St. Andrews, it's the Women's Open Championship, AIG Women's Open Championship. I can't not watch it.
No, I was listening to it early this morning. I actually had a earbud in at like 4:00 this morning, listening to the radio broadcast. So yeah,
love it. And it's at St. Andrews. Like I said, I've said many times, haven't played St. Andrews, walked St. Andrews, so I'm okay with not having played it, but watching them play it, and sometimes you just feel like, I really wish I had played it, but at some point or another I will. So I'm not going to stress it too much.
No,
I'm not old. I'm young and young at heart. Okay. Ontario Juvenile Championship. This would be for the U17s.
Yeah.
It wrapped up at Hollinger. Home of our good friend Owen Rigg. So I'm sure he was a very busy guy this week. But Hollinger Golf Club is up in Timmins. Dawson Liu won the boys, and Avery Nordman of the Canadian Golf and Country Club used a final round 71. which is a pretty darn good score. The back nine at 32 to win the girls' championship.
Yeah,
That's some incredible golf right there.
Four birdies on the back nine, birdied 3 of the last 5 holes to basically separate herself from the field, just barely. But yeah, good play considering I think she was 4 over on the front and then, or 3 over on the front and then turned it around on the backside. And Dawson had a big final round as well. So a big win for Avery. This is kind of one you sort of known was kind of maybe coming for her. She was a runner-up at the Ontario Junior Match Play earlier this year, so she's definitely been trending nicely and strong player. Been watching her for a number of years. One of those players you sort of just keep an eye on because potentially she's going to do something big, and this is a big step for her for sure.
The as we kind of mentioned off the top of the show, we have the interview with Chris Veltkamp in the second half in the back nine, and we're going to talk a lot of it, and you'll have talked to him a lot about this stuff, and we'll chat about it a bit. But the season-long race on the Play Junior Golf Tour, they play all season long for the to be crowned Flagstick.com Cup champions. And the final event prior to those points being sort of tabulated and winners being crowned is the Kevin Dickey Tour Championship at Cataraqui, which just took place on Monday.
We were both there.
We were there. We were there. My son Brandon played in his first Play Junior Golf Tour event. Loved it. Thought it was just so well run and so great. Loved the golf course. Did not love the weather.
Nobody
which
did.
None of them loved the weather. But I got to tell you, for the number of kids that were out there playing and grinding. Yeah, and literally grinding. Like, it is a grind to play. It's one thing to play in rain. It's another thing to play in that kind of rain, and it's another thing to play in that kind of rain and that kind of wind when it's actually cold. It's like I've always said, I don't mind playing in rain when it's kind of like, it's 26 or 27, 28 degrees out and it's raining. It's no big deal. It's a warm. That was not a warm rain. That was a windy, cold,
north wind,
ugly north wind rain. And those kids are out there grinding. And we're not talking about just 17, 18-year-olds.
No,
we're talking about 9-year-olds,
8-year-olds,
8-year-olds out there for 9 holes grinding, 10, 11, 12-year-olds out there for 18 holes grinding in that weather. Hats off to every single one of those kids and the parents that walked with them. The ones that walked with them for the full 18, hats off to you. The ones that only walked 9 and walked in, hats not off to you.
Well,
shame on you. Shame on you for walking off. Not shame on me for staying in the clubhouse. I'm a sponsor. I'm just trying to take in it, absorb it all.
Hey, you know what? Like you said, kudos to the kids for doing it. Some of them may have not been quite prepared for the day. Let's just say that. They'll probably think about that the next time when they're playing some tournament golf. As far as, shorts on, no rain gear, the whole deal or whatever. But some good rounds there, and we were surprised by some of the scores. And everything's up on flagstick.com if you want to see who the winners were and so forth. But they continue to persevere. Some good players that had amazing seasons and continued their winning streaks for sure. It was just, again, it was fun to watch, fun to be there, and I was glad to get to, I think I got to 5 events this year, so that was pretty good. So I enjoyed watching, getting to know the players, and you know what, here's the other thing I should mention. Beyond obviously the team does a great job and everything, but the parents and the grandparents and the guardians, I mean, they're very grateful bunch, and the kids as well. There's a lot of thank yous, a lot of just a lot of people with a lot of gratitude, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, 100%. And this is important. What Chris is doing with this tour, which is why why we're behind him, why we're continuing to push forward with some new ideas and some new relationships with him moving into 2025, is because I really believe in what he's doing and how he's going about ensuring that these kids have an opportunity to play tournament golf with a lot less pressure early on, to get used to it, to decide if it's really something that they want to do. And it's a developmental tour for future junior golfers, right? So they start at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and then they kind of get into it. And by the time they get to 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, they're seasoned professionals, if you will, at playing tournament golf.
Well,
And
I think we just have to look at, two of the, we just mentioned Avery Nordman, Will Dornicamp. These are two of some of the most recent winners of Golf Ontario championships. They played on this tour. So,
yeah,
and they play on this tour as well. Wilson obviously won on Monday as well, but so yeah, it leads to bigger things for them. Not only just on the golf course, but off the golf course as well.
exactly. Okay, so as we said, the results of the Kevin Dickey Tour Championship at Cataraqui are up on flagstick.com. They're also on the Play Junior Golf Tour website at pjgttour.com. So there's still a couple of events left that were canceled and rescheduled. Trillium Wood event, which I think is full now, and the draw is out. And then there's another one I think at Brockville a little bit later. So check out their website. Maybe get into a couple late events. I know school's starting, but I'm sure there's time to play tournament golf.
Yeah, for sure. Just stick that in.
All right, and more on that in the back nine. Canadian men's mid amateur at Carleton, going on right now. Second day rain delay. I guess they're just completing the second round. So
yeah, on day 3. So
rain delay. I don't understand. I don't understand.
No, exactly.
I don't understand. What do you mean rain delay?
Yeah, barely got some of the players barely got a couple of holes in on their second day. So but overall, it seems like everybody's pretty happy there. I talked to a number of players, and scoring's not exceptionally low so far. I think 4 under kind of at this point is sort of leading the way. There was a 5 under on day 1. But we'll see how that rounds out. It's supposed to finish up on Friday, but we'll see what happens here with weather and delays and so forth. But yeah, it's and there's a good contingent too from Ottawa for those of us, for those of you who listen to the podcast that are from the Ottawa region. Jared Coyle actually had a 66, I think, in day 2. So
home course advantage. You got to love that.
Yeah. So Flagstick Open, former champion, and he's kind of in the mix in the top 10. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him do well. And some of the other locals, Ryan Sevigny's in there doing well. There's a number of locals that are playing in the field. So yeah, there's a chance there if people are interested, they can go out and support the event as well and get out there and watch it if they are willing.
Cool. All right. So check that out. As we mentioned a little earlier off the top of the show, we talked about the AIG Women's Open being played at St. Andrews Golf Links in Scotland. Purse increase this year up to 500,000, up 500,000 to 9.5 million.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible amount of money that they're playing for.
Yeah, it's progressed a lot.
Open.
Yeah, it's progressed a lot in recent years, which is great to see. And obviously they're working harder on doing that to, provide some more, quality as far as the purses for the men and the women. I don't know off the top if I have a listing. I'm not really concerned about it too much because I know they're at the 9.5 now, but let's see where they were at 2018. This will give you an example though. So this is only 6 years ago. They were playing for 3.25 million. So that gives you an idea of how much it's rocketed up in the last number of years, which has been great to see for sure.
Yeah, they've had some pretty significant wind gusts. I noticed it's like 18 degrees there and sunny, but that's not 18 degrees and sunny our weather.
Yep.
That's 18 degrees
that's
sunny, and that's some serious wind chill going on there, and it's fully exposed golf course there at St. Andrews. So when it's 43, 45 degree or 45 mile an hour wind gusts, that's unprotected wind gusts coming across. So you're getting the full brunt of that without any tree help.
Well, when you look at holes like one we were talking about, where normally it's just a short iron in there and players are hitting woods, that really tells you kind of what it's all about. I think scoring average so far early on was around 76. Brooke Henderson opened with the 77. We're seeing some wild stuff with downwind on 18, 354, and there's players making twos. They're driving the green, they're driving over top of the green. Same thing on 9 as well. Players are driving the green there on another par 4. So yeah, it's something else as far as the wins are concerned, and they're getting a true test for an Open Championship.
Yeah, well, take advantage of what's down.
Yes, yes,
Big time.
yes.
Okay, so moving on to let's see, the President's Cup is coming up very quickly.
Yeah, a month away now.
And announcement was made that Shigeki is the 5th and final captain's assistant for the international team. Automatic.
The automatic picks are coming up, so that's
done. Sunday. Sunday is the automatic picks cutoff. So that's the one. So that means obviously, from a points perspective, those that are in the points as of Sunday are on the team, and then the following Tuesday they make the captain's picks. That's going to be an interesting.
Yeah, so we'll have all that next week to be able to talk about as far as those captain's picks, and we'll see where we're at with those picks. Especially
how many Canadians will Mike Weir take on this team? This is a really interesting scenario because I mean, if you look at the points.
Yeah.
And you look at who's sort of in the running, there are players for the international team that are ahead of some of the Canadian players that are not in the points right now.
Yeah.
And given that the event is in Canada, you got to think that from a spectator point of view, which, I mean, look let's be honest about one thing when it comes to the differences between the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup is there is a difference in the sense that the President's Cup is I'm not calling it a
exhibition
event. Yeah. It's to the players, it's not.
No, for sure.
I think that's the thing. Like the internet, maybe to the American players, it is more of that than the international players because this is their opportunity to play Ryder Cup kind of deal.
Right.
But it has been sort of like the backseat driver to the Ryder Cup. It's the second
tier.
It's not quite as players aren't quite as angry at each other. I mean, let's face it, you watch the Ryder Cup. As much as they're friends, they're not friends. It's a passionate tournament. I don't see that same level of disdain for one another while the event is going on at the President's Cup. It's a little bit more fun, a little bit more laid back, but it's still competition.
Yeah.
That said, the international players want to make this team. The American players want to make this team. The Canadian players really want to be on this team playing in Canada. And I think that Mike Weir wants them there.
He does, but right now, it's unless something happens big here this week, it's a big opportunity. I mean, Corey Connors is at 7th right now, so he's the highest ranked in the points. So,
right.
So he's not an automatic pick. And then you've got at 11, 12, 13, you've got Nick Taylor, Adam Hadwin, and Taylor Pendrith. So, how many are they going to have? I mean, the thing when it comes down to is that, if you've got a player at like a Minwoo Lee at number 8, are you going to dump a player like that in favor of taking a Canadian? Mike Weir wants to win. They want some fan support and everything like that, but they can only take so many.
Well, and therein lies the problem, right? I mean, there could be 6 Canadian players that are worthy of being there, but you can't take 6 Canadian players that are that far outside. I mean, it just becomes way too obvious and way too, it won't wash well. And Minwoo Lee is a good player. He's had a good year. So how can you not consider that player as a captain's pick over top of, someone who,
Well, this is the interesting thing too when you look at it. So, Mackenzie Hughes is down at 15, but Corey Connors is obviously up there. And the points are based on a kind of a 2-year rotation. But then, when you go down to Pendrith at 13th, he's the highest in the FedEx Cup.
Well, yeah, because he's still playing FedEx, right? So he's still inside the top 50, and the rest of them are not.
He's I think he went into this week at 25th. Like he's the highest that's in there. So there's definitely a lot of factors that have to go in here. And
if I was a betting man,
we'll know on Tuesday.
If I was a betting man, and I'm not,
because
to be a betting man, you have to have significant amounts of money to be a betting man. And since I do not have significant amounts of money to bet, I am not a betting man. But if I were, I would say that Connors and Pendrith make the team. That would be my That would be my guess,
Yeah,
because he can play them together. And I would think that
I like that.
that would be my guess. The rest of them won't. That's my prediction.
Yeah,
That Corey Connors and Taylor Pendrith will make the President's Cup team. Pendrith, I think, will make it on. He can't. I don't think Pendrith can make it on points with two
no, I
events
don't.
left. I don't think, or with one event
One
left. I
event.
don't think
No.
even if he won this week that he'd make it on points. But if he won this week, he'd make it anyway.
Well, I also think
Like that'd be dumb not to. But
some of his talents that he has with his length and so forth make him a different kind of weapon to make use of.
well, and
That.
compliments Corey Connors, who's an excellent
Correct.
ball striker.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So, no offense to Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin, who are, great players and very good all-around players. But there's certain dynamics, I think, within Connors and Pendrith that make them, something really positive, for this type of event as far as match plays.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's my prediction with respect to President's Cup. Okay. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned, as they say.
Exactly.
LPGA Tour Q qualifier series. The pre-qualifying starts on Thursday in California.
Yep.
And obviously we've got a significant list, Scott,
11 of
that
them.
you've
11.
compiled here of
14. Sorry, 14.
14 Canadians in the field for the LPGA Tour Q Series pre-qualifying.
Yeah, so these are really the players that are kind of up and coming. They don't really have status based on their play on some other tours and so forth, so they have to go through this stage first before they get to the Q series. LPGA Tour qualifying is getting stronger and stronger, so more players are going into it, so that's why we have the pre-qualifying now. So we have this stage, and I fully expect many of these players to get through. There's a couple of them maybe are a little bit of a flyer. They're kind of checking things out, especially within some of the amateurs. They're really trying to test themselves and see where they're at. I'm not going to name names, but I mean, I know a player that's in there, for an example, that I think she averaged 77 in her final year of college. So I'm not expecting for her to get through the pre-qualifying, but who knows what the standards are here. And again, they're there to, for some of them are there because they're trying to get through. Obviously, they all want to get through, but some of them are also being realistic, and they're just there for the experience more than anything, to kind of see where they're at relative to the other players and maybe see what they need to work on and develop their games afterwards.
Exactly. All right. And you can
I have the list. If you follow us on our social media channels,
which they should.
Yes, I posted it on Instagram, and it's on our X account as well, if you want to see the full list of the 13 players and the link to the scoring as well.
There you go. Beautiful. Okay. PGA of Ottawa Pro Junior event on the Flagstick.com PGA of Ottawa Tour. Quick results on that one. Team Renfrew won.
Yeah, it was, and they had two teams, I believe. So it was I should say it was the Greg Burney's team.
Greg Burney's team.
Yeah.
There you go. Congratulations, Greg and team. 18 teams in this event this year, and that's amazing to see. Hopefully it continues to grow, because it's kind of, again, junior golf is just one of those things, and that just it's I got a soft spot for the juniors, because in my humble opinion, juniors are the future of this game, this sport that we love, that we're involved in, and we cannot, under any circumstances, neglect where that growth is going to come from. And these junior golfers, at whatever, I don't care what age, 5 years old, all these junior golfers become adult golfers, and that is good for the game. So the more juniors that we can get on the golf course, get on the driving range, get around the practice greens, get to loving the game, the better it is for the industry as a whole. So we should be focusing our attention there and not worrying so much about how many events we have for adults.
Yeah, this is I mean, it's great to see this event come back. Unfortunately, it conflicted with our tour championship. Otherwise, I would have found 3 juniors and went up and played this as well. I think it's great because it's an opportunity for these kids to compete, but they also travel, with their pro get some mentorship, create a connection with the pros. It kind of fosters a little bit of relationship, and it's a big deal. I mean, when the kids are all of a sudden going to a pro event, they obviously feel a certain sense of pride and so forth that they were selected or asked to kind of go to this. So pretty cool, and I hope it continues to grow, and hopefully the date works out next year. And I look forward to grabbing 3 juniors and heading up and playing that one myself.
All right, perfect. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Before we get off the break, just make sure we said off the top there about following us, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and all of our social media. Flagstick Academy Golf Tips, sponsored by Castleview Golf and Country Club, continue to be a huge part of what we're doing on social media and on YouTube. Great tip up there right now on how to release your driver to gain more distance. So, as well as a bunch of other great tips. So, check that out. All right, we got to get out. We got to take a quick break. But when we come back from the break, we're going to play the interview that Scott did with Chris Veltkamp of the Play Junior Golf Tour, get ourselves kind of acclimatized a little bit to what the tour is all about, how their season went, and what they've got coming up. So that's all coming up right after the break on the Flagstick podcast that you're listening to with Jeff Butter and Scott McLeod. Stay tuned.
Play a golf ball with a winning formula. Play speed with the supercharged Fast Layer DG Core. Play spin with groove-grabbing Spin Skin Plus. Play Z-Star, now with 3 Tour Performance models. Whether you're competing for the win or simply want the most from your game, find your winning formula with the all-new Z-Star series, only from Srixon.
All right. Scott, we're back from the break. I'm having a rough day today. I don't know why. I'm actually not tired. I just got so much in my brain. I don't know.
Under-caffeinated?
Might be under-caffeinated or something. Anyway.
Yeah, busy brain.
Welcome back. We're going to, as promised, we are now heading into the back nine, which obviously the back nine is presented by our good friends at Falcon Ridge Golf Club. With 27 holes of fun and challenging golf at great rates, Falcon Ridge Golf Club is a golfing experience you cannot avoid. The experience is even better. They have built the first TrackMan range facility in Eastern Ontario, and TrackMan range is all about exciting, easy-to-use features that provide ultimate range experience for every golfer at every level. That's practice games and virtual golf. So to book those tee times or to book one of the 10 TrackMan range bays, visit falconridgegolf.ca. All right, getting right into this. Scott had the opportunity following the Kevin Dickey Tour Championship at Cataraqui on Monday to sit down with operator, founder, owner, great all-around great guy, Chris Veltkamp, to talk about the Play Junior Golf Tour and what's been going on, why it exists, and where it's going in the future. So without further ado, here is that interview that Scott did with Chris Veltkamp.
All right, we're back on the Flagstick podcast here with a familiar face, somebody who we saw earlier this week, and we'd like to share a little bit about what happened this week with him and the tour he is involved with and created. Chris Veltkamp, who is the founder and president of the Play Junior Golf Tour. How are you, Chris?
I'm good, Scott. You?
I'm pretty good, despite the rain, which has continued since Monday, since I saw you last at the Kevin Dickey Tour Championship that was held at Cataraqui. But hopefully all the junior golfers are dried out by now, but I'm not sure they are.
And if they're not, they're getting wet again today.
Probably. So 11th year for the tour. We've been proud to be a partner with the tour the last several years and be involved in supporting the juniors. But you've been involved since the start, and which sort of coincides. Actually, we'll get to it a little bit, but it's sort of a bittersweet moment, I guess, on Monday with your one son Peyton finishing up his junior career, and that was sort of how you got involved and doing this in the first place. Why don't you give people a little bit of recap on the tour itself?
Yeah, so just briefly, 11 years ago, my oldest son Pete, competitive athlete, wasn't a lot of junior tournaments around for some of the younger kids, the 6, 7-year, 8-year-olds. Being a past golf professional and having some connections, I decided to start a little circuit. So we started 11 years ago with 4 tournaments, 22 members. And then we got her going up to, I think there's over 900 on the master roster right now, and average 12 to 16 a year. So that's where it started, and it just keeps growing and more kids. So it's been fun.
Now, partway through that, you had a little bit of a merger with the previous St. Lawrence Junior Tour, so you ended up having sort of two tours came into one. If people are familiar with that, St. Lawrence Junior Tour, prior to that, there's been a number of LPGA, PGA Tour players that grew up and played on that circuit. So it sort of incorporated that. What's your area for people that are not familiar?
So tournament wise, we go Belleville, down the 401 to Cornwall, and then kind of the Ottawa area. Members are coming as far from Bancroft, and northwest that way. I've got some from northern or southern Quebec. So we do have a lot of distance, but that's kind of the 401 corridor, and then into Ottawa.
Yeah, which is amazing, and obviously there's a number of junior tours across the province that make up the junior golf pathway, and that leads into some other things we'll talk about in a minute as far as the Ontario Summer Games and so forth. But why don't we briefly sort of talk about the season in 2024 and how it's gone? It is still continuing, even though you just had the Tour Championship, because you got some extra events that were sort of rescheduled. But overall, what was the season like? Or maybe some of the key things for you within the 2024 year?
So yeah, season 11 was another really good season. We had 12 events. We had to reschedule a couple due to the rain. It seems like one of those wet summers. This is the first time ever. I don't think my grass hasn't burnt, but it's been another really good one. It was nice this year. We had Rivermead came on board. We had an event there. We had one at Rivendell, so it was nice to add 2 new venues to the circuit. And then we were at our usual places: Rideau View, Amherst View, Trillium Wood, Prescott, Upper Canada, etc. So it's been a really good year. I have said a few times to people, it's kind of starting the transition phase a little bit. There's a lot of players and families that were very committed for the past, kind of 4 or 5 years, and they've now moved on to provincial events and national events and getting ready to go to the schools and the states and stuff like that, which is exciting for the tour and everything, we've wanted. And it's been nice now to see, a new generation or a new brand and number of kids and families come in. But again, year 11 is the way the other years have been. It's been successful. We're very fortunate, the families, the players, they love being there. They want to be at the golf courses, and they want to, grow through the game. And whether it's just play some tournaments, play with your friends, or look to advance otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I got out to a few events this year, and it's been great to see, again, as you mentioned, new faces, kind of the next generations within the families, new facilities coming back to having junior events. There was a couple of rough years there, especially around the COVID period, and a lot of golf courses that, were super busy, maybe said, yeah, maybe we don't want to host junior events, but certainly have seen that interest come back. And, how inspirational is that for you, being a development tour? And as you said, you're really providing a place for these players that will eventually move on. But how inspiring is it for you to see kind of that that's still that spark that's there for not only players, but also for golf facilities as well, to have an interest in golfers at this level?
It's really nice, and it's funny that you mentioned it, because I actually had a golf professional there on Monday, from a golf course, wanting to come see it, to support his players that he coaches and stuff like that, and coming up and saying, he's all in. He wants an event at his facility next year. We've been very, very fortunate over the last 11 years. And there's been a lot of golf courses that have welcomed us, treated us like gold. Even some of the higher end private ones that, sometimes take a little bit of a bad rap for, maybe not as inclusive for kids. We've been at facilities, and you have members coming off the golf courses. Oh, I saw this kid hit this shot, and look at all these kids. It's great for the game. We've been very, very lucky that way with golf courses, and my hope is it continues.
And we saw, despite the fact that, the tour is not all about just success and winning, we see a lot of, as you say, development, some players playing their tournaments for the very first time, learning about the sport, learning how to keep score, learning how to, behave in tournaments and so forth. But, there's a lot of success as well. The tour takes part in the Ontario Summer Games, and there was quite a presence this year for the Play Junior Golf Tour at the Summer Games in London. You were there with the teams. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that experience was for the athletes from the Play Junior Golf Tour at London?
Yeah, so I guess the groundwork would have been set a couple of years ago. I didn't get the chance to go, but our boys were very successful on the final day and came and were the silver medalists. This year we sent back a team, a very young girls team, but a very veteran boys team. And yeah, from day one, they put their name on that they were coming out to play. Carter O'Brien led the way with a 5 under 67 on day one, and the entire team, boys and girls, just fed off that. They were both very successful. Our boys were fortunate enough to win gold, and there's what I said, Scott, about it might go dark on me.
No worries.
I'll try to have to fix that. There we go.
There we go. All right.
Sorry. And so the boys won gold. The girls came through and challenged for gold on the last day and won bronze. For me, the experience was just unbelievable. I was fortunate enough to spend it with my two boys, but with kids that I've watched play the tour for 10 years, and where they've come from. It was just really a good time. The 9 kids, they hung out, they supported each other, they laughed, they had fun. But when they hit the golf course, they meant business. Like I said, the boys, 4 of them were there 2 years ago when a kid shot 7 under to beat them on the last day.
Wow.
So they went back with a purpose, and they got it done. So it was amazing. And the Summer Games, the entire Golf Ontario Summer Games committee put on a wonderful, wonderful event. And it was just, it'll be a highlight for a long time for me.
Yeah, it probably wasn't something you imagined 11 years ago when you started when started things that not only for them being on the podium and so forth, but just providing those opportunities for the kids, which is really what it's about more than anything.
Yeah, I had a dad come up to me afterwards and just say, thank you. This has been a long time coming, and for my child to succeed at the provincial level like that, your tour helped assist this, and I want to make sure that they know that the tour is just one of the pieces. These kids are really good.
Mm-hmm.
They work on their games a lot. They have good coaches. They have good families, good clubs. The tour is just one last little piece that gives them that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think we saw that a fair bit on Monday, as I mentioned, at the Kevin Dickey Tour Championship at Cataraqui. The number of kids that were coming up and thanking everybody that was involved, your team and so forth. The parents that are there, grandparents that are there, guardians, you name it, and they're very grateful and thankful that this tour exists, because not everybody has the resources to run down to the States or other parts of the country. So I guess this is the culmination when you see that at that tour championship.
Yeah, and it's exactly like you said. They are grateful, and I've said it at the tour championship and a few other events. We are very lucky, the parents and the families we have. They express their gratitude. They show their support. They're there for the kids, but they're also there for the tour, and they want success for all those kids. So it makes it a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable when you have that support.
Yeah, and that support also comes from a number of sponsors across the various events, which is really important as well, on top of the facilities that are accommodating for the juniors. So the Tour Championship, like I said, we had a little bit of challenge as far as the weather was concerned on Monday, but the kids persevered, which was amazing. I mean, we were fortunate, and everybody, we were sort of maybe inside a little bit more
Yeah.
than they were. But how was that Tour Championship for you, even compared to, kind of past years? Are there particular moments from that you're recalling fondly already?
Yeah, it's we go to the Cataraqui, and we've kind of branded, and that's kind of our last one. Ian Reston and the entire team at Cataraqui, they're very welcoming, very supportive. They get it when it comes to junior golf. One of the funny moments, one of the team members went out driving around, and it was raining and it was bad, and 3 or 4 of the kids came up, thought he was getting them off the course and wanted to come off. But you're right, they stuck it out all, I get 65 or 67 that everyone teed it up. They finished.
Yeah. The only hesitation, I think, was the playoff for the one girls. They just decided, we both shot 79. Maybe we won't go out for a playoff.
Yeah. It was they didn't want any part of it, and I was good with that. But it's like you mentioned, that was my oldest son Pate's final event. I kind of started the tour for him, and he won his very first one. So for him to win his last one, it was fun to see, and it was bittersweet. But to shoot a good score at Cat to win his last one, it was a lot of fun.
And there's some great performances from players this year. Looking back and looking at the winners of the Race to the Flagstick.com Cup in each of the different flights, some incredible play. I mean, players that swept divisions, won multiple events, stuck it out and really showed what their skill levels were. For you, particular, I don't want you to play favorites here and pick out odds and ends, but certainly there are some players that not only had great performances on the tour, but went to other success as well. Wilson Dornicamp, for an example, who he wins that on Monday, coming off the winning an OVGA match play event, coming off Golf Ontario Pee Wee Championship. That's gotta be something for you when you see those players having great seasons like that on the Play Junior Golf Tour.
Yeah, there's a lot. Wilson is one that is starting to come into his own. There's a number of other boys. Our U15 boys division had 18 to 24 kids almost every week. Colton D had a successful year. Jacob Minkhorst won the match play, very dominantly in his final match. Even some of the boys that I remember 5 or 6 years ago, struggling to break 90, are now contending and winning. Maxime Desjardins Archery.
Yes, yeah.
He plays all the time, and it's just a wonderful family. And the kid is, continues to improve, and he's starting to get into the 70s, and he works hard in his game. And the provincial success and outside success, absolutely, I love. But I can name a lot of, stories like Maxime and a few others that just, they spent a lot of years working and playing hard, and, they don't complain. There's always a smile. Another one, Kaylee Spare, that bronze medaled at the Summer Games a couple of years ago. She was, kind of struggling again to shoot good scores. And I think she just won the club championship at Rideau this past weekend.
Yeah.
Another girl that, she's going to do extremely well. There's a lot out there, and it's fun and encouraging to see them just keep the determination. They're not afraid to pass or post a bad score. They work hard, and that's very rewarding to see.
So Tour Championships wrapped up, but you do have at least one other event left in the season. Why don't you explain a little bit about what's left in the season, and maybe some thoughts going ahead and looking ahead to year 12. I know it's pretty early to start talking about it, but Peyton might be done, but you may not be, right?
No. So we're lucky. our Belleville Junior Masters at Trillium got rained out, and luckily we were able to find a date. So we are going to play that on Monday, and I'm excited because Trillium's another golf course that is very welcoming and treats us extremely well, and it's a good venue for an event. We're really going to try to get maybe a fall event in Brockville if that can still work out. But yeah, I'm not going anywhere unless they overthrow me. I plan to stay on for year 12. I do have my youngest, Preston. Somebody asked me, does he play a lot of the events? And I said, well, he's kind of like a Tiger Woods. He has a select schedule and he picks and chooses his events right now, which is one or two or based on what's going to be the meal or the prizes. But
Sure.
No, I love it too much. It brings a lot of satisfaction, and I just like to be around golf. We've talked a lot with you guys at Flagstick on some exciting things for next year. I know there's been many people that have come up to me and said, listen, if you want a hand with this, or is this something you might want to do? So the wheels are definitely turning. So I really am excited for 2025 and what that could bring.
That's awesome. Oh, well, congratulations on a successful year. Again, behalf of, Jeff and myself, it's great to be involved. We're looking forward to, more involvement and helping support junior golf, and just want to thank you for, everything you've done for junior golf in the community. And we'll certainly have you back when we have more highlights to talk about.
No, well, I really appreciate it. And like I said, it's nice to have you guys at the golf course supporting. Without you guys, a lot of this stuff wouldn't get out. So I really appreciate all your support.
All good. Thanks, Chris.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott.
All right. Well, I already pre-listened to the interview, so unfortunately, I know what happened. Awesome interview. Chris is he's very passionate, and you can tell, like, just talking to him when you're at an event. I had the chance at the Kevin Dickey event to actually talk to Chris a little bit more. It was the first event that I'd been at start to finish,
right?
And watched him in action, watched his team in action, how they just extremely organized, all of the qualities in we'll call it a partner with something moving forward that interests us and really kind of makes me realize that as we decide to put more energy and time and effort and resources into what he's doing, that we're making the right choice to do that.
I agree 100%.
So we don't have much else to talk about.
That's
and I'm thinking I might need a nap right now for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but
too much ice time.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I am on the ice a fair bit, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. But
no.
Yeah. So heading up next Monday to Trillium Wood. Son Brandon is playing in another tournament, and then hopefully he's going to get a chance to play in the OVGA Cup, Junior Cup, the following, well, I guess later that week. So he's kind of got the tournament bug a little bit.
I like that.
A little late in the junior career to get the tournament bug, but it's better late than never, I suppose.
Presets him for his adult life. So
exactly. So
love it.
All right. Great interview, Scott. Well done. Great first half of the show. Not much to do in the second half of the show. So we're going to get out of here. Obviously, we want to thank all the sponsors, Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, and of course our presenting sponsor this week, Srixon Golf Balls. Whether you are looking for a premium urethane option in the Z-Star series, a quality budget option in the soft feel, or somewhere in between, with the Q-Star Tour, Srixon Golf is bound to have an option that will work for your game. Trust me, I play one, and the options work. For more information, visit srixon.ca. Well, hopefully you have been enjoying what you've been hearing or watching. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media networks, as always, Instagram, X, and Facebook, and subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Check out the YouTube channel, give us a subscribe, like us, and click the notification bell. Make sure that you never miss a single thing that we post up there. Get over to flagstick.com for more amazing golf content delivered every day. And please subscribe to Flagstick Digest newsletter so that we can send that information to you 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But as always, we appreciate you tuning in. But until next week, I am Jeff Potter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.